You're useless to us now, Dad. Those words hit harder than the news of being fired. I stood there in the kitchen, my tie still half on, my shoes soaked from the rain, holding the envelope with my severance papers and another envelope. The second one they never saw. The second one held the news that a company I'd quietly invested in 10 years ago had just gone public. And my shares? Worth exactly $9.1 million. But she didn't know that. Neither did our daughter. Wait, what? I blinked as if her words were a glitch in the system. What did you just say, Emma? My daughter, my own flesh and blood, looked me straight in the eye. Not even a flinch. You're useless to us now. She stood beside her mother, arms crossed like she was her damn clone. My wife, Jessica, didn't even try to soften the blow. You think we're going to stay here and babysit a broke man? What kind of example is that for our daughter? She laughed, but it wasn't humor, it was venom. You had one job, Matt. Provide. And you couldn't even do that. The first thing I noticed was how fast it happened. Jessica already had my suitcase packed by the door. I didn't even know she knew where I kept my spare keys. She tossed them at me like I was a tenant who'd missed rent. Go stay at a motel. Or with one of your loser friends. I should have said something. Screamed. Cursed. Begged maybe. But I didn't. I just looked at both of them. The two women I'd devoted my entire adult life to. The woman I paid off student loans for. The girl I walked to kindergarten every morning, who I taught to ride a bike, who I swore I'd protect forever. Both now staring at me like I was a stranger. A burden. And all I could think was, they really think I'm broke. I picked up the envelopes. Slipped the first into my jacket, let the second one stay in my palm for a second longer, tempted to wave it in their faces. But no, not yet. They didn't deserve the satisfaction. Jessica smirked. What? No dramatic goodbye? No fake speech about being there for us? Just leave, Matt. This is pathetic. That word stuck to my skin like hot oil. Pathetic. Was that what she thought of me all along? I'll go, I said calmly. But remember this moment. Etch it into your head, both of you. She rolled her eyes. You're not that important, Matt. You're just a man who couldn't keep up. You lost your edge. You lost your use. I walked out. Not because I had to, but because now I wanted to. As I shut the door behind me, I heard Emma shout one last thing. Don't come back unless you have money. I got into my car. Sat there in silence for 20 minutes, just watching the house, seeing her silhouette in the window as she poured herself wine, laughing with someone on the phone. She didn't even look sad. No tears. No regret. And then, just as I was about to start the engine, I saw it. A black BMW pulling into the driveway. Some guy, young, gym body, tan, tight polo shirt. I watched as he walked straight in without knocking. Like he belonged. I gripped the steering wheel, every nerve in my body burning. It wasn't even 5 hours since I left. And she was already letting another man into our home. I parked 2 streets down from the house the next night. Didn't turn off the engine. Didn't even breathe too loudly. I wasn't sure what I was looking for, or what I'd do if I found it. But something inside me, it wouldn't let me rest. I had to know. She hadn't texted. Not a single message. No calls. Emma either. Not even to check if I was alive. 18 years of marriage, a 17-year-old daughter, and I meant so little that my absence didn't even require a follow-up. That silence cut deeper than anything. The lights were on. I waited. And right around 9:30 p.m., the same black BMW pulled up. I didn't recognize him, not at first. But then he stepped out, and the streetlight caught his face. And I knew. His name was Chase. 32. Used to be my intern. Tall, arrogant, charming in the most plastic kind of way. The type of guy who always laughed too loud and stared too long at married women. I'd caught him looking at Jessica once during a Christmas party years ago. Back then, I thought it was harmless. I was wrong. He didn't knock this time either. Just walked right in like he lived there. My house. My couch. My wife. I didn't move. Just sat there, pulse slow and heavy like a war drum. I knew if I stormed in now, I'd lose the one thing I still had, control. So I waited. Watched. Took mental notes. Counted the minutes. At 10:12 p.m., I saw them. In the living room window. Jessica in her red silk robe, the one she used to wear only on our anniversary. She was laughing, head thrown back, drink in hand. Chase had his hand on her thigh. Too high to be casual. She didn't flinch. Didn't hide it. Didn't even close the curtains. That's when I knew. This wasn't new. It wasn't just a rebound. It was a full-blown betrayal that had been brewing under my nose for months, maybe years. I drove away before I did something stupid. Ended up in a parking lot outside a 24-hour diner. I didn't eat. Just sat with my phone in hand, scrolling through old pictures, family vacations, her fake smile, Emma's birthdays, my arm around both of them like a fool who believed everything was real. Then the text started. Not from them. From an old friend. Brian. We hadn't spoken in months, but he was the only one I trusted with what I'd done. Because that secret second envelope I'd kept, the one they didn't care to ask about, it wasn't just a payday. It was freedom. $9 million. From a forgotten investment in a tech startup I'd made back when we had nothing. I'd left it alone, watched it grow like a quiet seed under the soil. And now it had bloomed, just as they tossed me out like trash. I wired the money to a new account, created a trust, made sure not a cent could be touched by either of them. Then I booked a suite in the city under a fake name, paid 6 months up front, bought a new phone, new number, disappeared. The next morning, I woke up to 27 missed calls from Jessica. By noon, it was 89. By the end of the third day, I had 185 messages from both her and Emma. Everything from, "Where are you? Please just talk to us," to, "You're overreacting. We didn't mean it like that." And finally, "I'm sorry. I made a mistake. Come home." But the best one? "Matt, did you get a notification about Chase using your card? He just took your Rolex and your PlayStation. They didn't just kick me out. They let him rob me. And now, suddenly, they cared. But it was too late. They thought I was weak. They thought I was broke. They thought I'd beg to come back. Let them keep thinking. I had plans now. Not for forgiveness. Not even for revenge. But something better. Something they'd never expect. 3 more days passed. I didn't reply to a single message. On the 4th, I decided it was time to answer, but not with words. I hired a private investigator. His name was Leo, ex-cop, the kind of guy who wore the same boots every day and drank his coffee black, even when it was boiling outside. I handed him a photo of Jessica and a single line. "I want to know everything." By the next afternoon, he handed me a flash drive and a manila envelope thick enough to choke a mailbox. I didn't look at it right away. I waited, went back to the suite, poured a drink, and sat in the leather armchair by the window. Then I opened it. Photos. Dozens of them. Jessica and Chase at restaurants. Jessica kissing him in my car. Jessica at a hotel I'd once taken her to for our 10th anniversary. Only this time, she wasn't wearing her wedding ring. And she wasn't with her husband. But it wasn't just Chase. There was another man. Older. Bald. Designer suit. Leo said his name was Warren Thomas, CEO of a company Jessica used to consult for. That word again, consult. I kept reading. Text logs. Hotel check-ins. Credit card statements. The bastard even used my gas card. She had been running around behind my back for at least a year. Maybe more. And all that time, I was waking up early to make her coffee, packing Emma's lunch, pretending like we were still a family. That night, I stared at the ceiling for hours, the city lights dancing on the ceiling. I couldn't sleep. My stomach felt like it was eating itself from the inside. Rage. Shame. Disgust. Not just at her, but at myself. For not seeing it. For ignoring the signs. She'd been colder. Distant. Started working late more often. Less affection. No intimacy. Then came the manipulation. The little digs about my clothes. My weight. My job. "You don't have ambition anymore, Matt." That wasn't a concern. That was a setup. She was prepping the exit. Planning the fall. And Emma? My own daughter? She stood right there beside her. Didn't even blink when I was kicked out. What had Jessica been whispering in her ear for months? What poison had she dripped into her thoughts about her father? The betrayal wasn't just in the flesh. It was in the manipulation. In the lies. In the erosion of everything I thought was mine. But now the tables were turning. I printed out a few of the pictures. Just the ones with Jessica and both her lovers. Then I wrote a note and slipped them into a gift bag with a bow on top. On the card. "To the love of my life. Hope you're enjoying the house. Thought you'd like to see who else has been in it." I had it delivered by courier. 2 hours later, the calls started again. This time, they were furious. Jessica called me screaming. Voicemail after voicemail. "What the F asterisk 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 is this, Matt? Who the hell do you think you are? Spying on me? You're such a pathetic loser. I never loved you." Click. Next one. "You think you can just vanish and then humiliate me? You're the one who failed this marriage, Matt. You. Not me." Click. Then a text. Just one line. "I hope you rot alone, you broke piece of SH." And then silence. The kind of silence that settles deep into your bones. I stood there by the window, phone in my hand, staring out at the city below. All those lives moving forward, all those people walking through their own betrayals, their own heartbreaks. And yet none of them knew that one man had just watched his world catch fire and didn't even flinch. Because I wasn't broken anymore. I was awake. A week passed. I didn't hear a thing. Then, just as I started to enjoy the quiet, she showed up. Not a text. Not a call. Jessica. In person. At the lobby of the suite I was staying in. How she found the place, I still don't know. Maybe she hired someone too. Or maybe she just got desperate enough to start searching the city like a bloodhound sniffing for the sin of lost wealth. She looked different. Not in the "I've been crying for days" way. No. She looked polished. Hair perfect. Heels sharp. Lips done. The same presentation she wore whenever she needed to lie with elegance. I watched her on the lobby cameras before I even left the room. That's what money does. It gives you options. Privacy. Power. I'd had the hotel staff put security cameras on my floor just for this kind of situation. She was pacing, checking her reflection in the glass, rehearsing something. I made her wait an hour. Then I walked down. She turned when the elevator dinged. Eyes lit up like she hadn't just tried to ruin my life. Like she hadn't slept with two men while I paid the mortgage and made her coffee every morning. Like she hadn't told me I was worthless. "Matt," she said like it meant something. She tried to hug me. I stepped back. She blinked, thrown off. "Okay, I get it. I deserve that." I said nothing. She kept talking. "Listen, I just wanted to talk. I know things got messy, and I wasn't fair. I said things I didn't mean. Like that I was useless?" I asked, voice low, steady. She hesitated. "I was angry. You dropped a bomb on us. I lost a job, Jess. Not a kidney. Not a child. A job." She didn't like that. Her eyes flashed. "It was more than that, Matt. You stopped being present. You were distracted. Distant." I laughed. "You cheated. With Chase. And Warren." That shook her. "Who the hell is Warren?" she asked too fast. "You really gonna keep lying?" "I didn't," she started, but I pulled out my phone and tapped once. The image of her entering the hotel with Warren flashed on screen. Him grabbing her waist. Her leaning in for a kiss. Silence. Her face dropped. Not with guilt. With fear. That was the moment I realized she didn't come to apologize. She came to salvage. "How long?" I asked. She looked away. "A few months." "Try again." Her voice dropped. "A year. Maybe 2. I smiled. Not out of joy. Out of confirmation. The final puzzle piece. "And the day you kicked me out, was that planned? Or just a lucky excuse to finally be rid of me?" She didn't answer. That was her answer. "You thought I was broke," I said, watching her closely. "Thought I was just another man hitting rock bottom. So you showed your true self." She swallowed. "Matt, I made a mistake." "No, Jessica. You made a choice. Over and over. With every message you sent him. Every lie you told me. Every night you left our bed to pretend you were working. I was confused. You were greedy." She didn't like that one either. "You think I'm proud of what happened?" she asked, voice cracking just enough to make it seem real. "You think I wanted any of this?" "I don't care." Her face twisted. "So what? This is it? You're just walking away." "I already did." I turned to leave, but she grabbed my wrist. That fake softness in her voice returned, the one she used when she wanted something. "Matt, wait. Can we just start over? For Emma? For us? We can fix this. You made it clear I wasn't part of us anymore." "I didn't mean." "You meant every word." I cut her off. "And now you're only here because you figured out I'm not broke." Her mouth opened. Closed. No denial. That silence again. I leaned in, low enough so only she could hear. "I've got $9 million, Jessica. And not a single cent of it is ever touching your hands." Then I walked away. She didn't follow. She couldn't. And I didn't look back. 2 nights later, the banging started. At first, I thought it was the room next door, someone drunk, maybe a couple arguing. But then I heard my name. "Matt, open the damn door." "Jessica." I stayed where I was, seated at the small table near the window, sipping bourbon. I didn't move. Didn't blink. I let her scream. After 5 minutes, she started crying. Loud, dramatic sobs that echoed through the hallway. I could hear her slump to the floor, her heels clattering as she sank down against the door. Then came the begging. I was scared, Matt. Everything fell apart so fast. I didn't know what to do. "Emma needs her father. I need you." That last part? It made me laugh. I finished my drink and turned on the speaker in the room connected to the hallway camera. My voice echoed out of the intercom beside the door. You didn't need me. You needed my money. You just didn't know I still had it. Don't say that. It's not true, she wailed. You told me to get out. You told me I was useless. Your words, Jess. Don't start acting like a grieving widow now. More silence. Then her voice turned ice cold. Do you think you're some kind of hero now? Because you made a few smart investments? You're still the same pathetic man who couldn't satisfy his wife. She regretted that the moment it left her mouth. I stepped toward the intercom. You mean while you were letting Chase take you on dates in my car? Or when you were sneaking into hotels with Warren while texting me you were exhausted from the office? Silence. Let me guess. You'll say it wasn't physical, right? I continued. Or maybe it didn't mean anything. Save it, Jess. I've got enough evidence to keep you quiet for life. Her voice dropped. What do you want, Matt? Revenge? No, I said calmly. I want peace. And I'll get it the moment you and your boyfriend pack your things and disappear from that house. The title's already being transferred. It'll be sold by the end of the month. You can't do that. That house is in my name. I cut her off. Always was. You just never paid attention. Too busy being busy. She screamed. An actual, raw scream. Then silence again. I checked the camera. She was gone. The next morning, Emma called. I stared at the screen for a full minute before answering. My thumb hovered over the green icon. Then I picked up. Dad. Her voice was small. Hesitant. I didn't know it would go this far, she said. I thought you'd come back. I didn't think Mom would do all that. You stood next to her when she kicked me out, Emma, I said, trying not to let the crack show in my voice. You said I was useless. I was angry. I didn't mean it. You sounded like you did. She sniffled. I miss you. It hurt. More than I expected. But I couldn't go soft. Not now. Not yet. I miss you too, I said. But I'm not coming back to that house. Not now. Maybe not ever. Can I see you? Maybe. A long pause. Then, are you rich now? There it was. The real question. I let the silence hang. Goodbye, Emma, I said softly. Take care of yourself. And I hung up. I knew she was young. I knew she was manipulated by her mother. But she was old enough to know betrayal when she saw it. And she had chosen a side when it mattered most. The following week, the papers were finalized. Jessica contested the divorce until my lawyer dropped the evidence folder on the table. After that, she didn't say a word. Not one more objection. Not one more tear. The house was sold. The money split? Not a chance. The prenup I insisted on years ago, which she mocked me for, saved me. Irony. She laughed then. She wasn't laughing now. Chase tried to call me once. Said something about just wanting to talk man to man. I blocked him before he finished the sentence. Now, I live in peace. In a penthouse overlooking the skyline, with a gym, a private chef, and silence. No screaming. No lies. No betrayal. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear it. That moment. You're useless to us now, Dad. The words don't sting like they used to. Now, they remind me of who I was, and who I'll never be again. 2 months passed. Then came the letter. Not a text. Not an email. An actual handwritten letter in a cheap pink envelope, with "From Emma" scratched across the front like she wrote it through tears. I almost threw it away. But I didn't. I sat on the balcony, rain tapping on the railing, the skyline dark and smeared with clouds. I opened the envelope with a knife, slowly, like it might explode. Inside were 3 pages. 3 uneven, messy, heart-wrenching pages. Dad, if you're reading this, then thank you. Because I know you didn't have to. I know I said awful things. I know I took her side. I don't know why I did. I was scared. I was stupid. I was angry. She told me things about you, things I thought were true. She said you gave up, that you were wasting money, that you didn't care about us anymore. I stopped reading. My throat burned. My eyes were hot. I kept going. She said Chase was helping her feel like a woman again. I didn't know what that meant. I just nodded. I didn't realize what was happening. And when you said you lost your job, I thought it was the final nail. I thought we were going to be broke, homeless, ruined. That's what she made it sound like. But I saw the news, Dad. The startup. The acquisition. The payout. I saw your name. And then I knew. She lied. About everything. I'm so sorry, Dad. I miss you so much. Mom's not the same anymore. She drinks too much. She talks to herself. She screams in the middle of the night. I caught her yelling at Chase 2 days ago. He left, packed everything and slammed the door. She said he stole from her, that he was never serious, that she gave up her life for nothing. She's not who she was. Or maybe she is. And you just never wanted me to see it? I want to come see you. Not because of the money. I don't care about that. I swear. I just want my dad back. Please. Love. Emma. I read it twice. Then a third time. Then I poured a drink and sat in silence for an hour, the letter clutched in my hand like a lifeline I didn't know I needed. She was still my daughter. Blood is blood. But betrayal doesn't vanish. It doesn't fade. It just waits in the shadows, tapping your shoulder every time you start to heal. I didn't answer the letter. Not yet. Instead, I flew out. Somewhere far. Somewhere with sand and silence and no memory of what I'd lost. Thailand. Beachfront villa. A place where my name didn't matter and no one asked about my past. I spent the first 3 days drinking until I forgot what betrayal felt like. By the fourth, I stopped drinking. By the fifth, I met someone. Not in a romantic way. Just someone who didn't know Jessica. Or Emma. Or Chase. Her name was Olivia. Divorced. 2 kids. One in college, one with her. A quiet woman with tired eyes and a wicked sense of humor. We talked. A lot. About books. About pain. About starting over when everything in you wants to stay angry. She said something one night that stayed with me. You're not defined by who hurt you. You're defined by what you do after. That night, I wrote back to Emma. I didn't say much. Just, Emma, I got your letter. I'm glad you told me the truth. I'm proud of you for doing that. I'm still healing. I'm not ready to see you yet. But I want to be. Write to me again. Keep being honest. Love. Dad. I mailed it the next day. Then I stood by the water, letting the waves wash over my feet. I didn't know what the future looked like. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't need revenge. I had peace. And that was worth more than $9 million. 2 weeks later, another letter arrived. This time, her handwriting was calmer. More stable. She wasn't begging. She wasn't apologizing in big, dramatic paragraphs. She was just talking to me like I was human. Like her father. She told me about school. About how she dropped 2 of her classes because she couldn't concentrate. How she started seeing a therapist. How she hated coming home now because the house felt dead. Jessica was apparently spiraling. She'd taken up smoking again. Had been fired from her part-time consulting gig after showing up to a meeting hungover and screaming at someone over coffee. Emma found her crying on the kitchen floor 2 nights in a row. She said it didn't even look like her mom anymore. Just some ghost of who she used to be. That part didn't hit as hard as it should have. I read the letter 3 times. I wanted to feel bad. Wanted to feel guilt for how far Jessica had fallen. But nothing came. Just emptiness. That woman didn't break overnight. She rotted slowly for years, and I'd just been too blind or too hopeful to see it. What hurt more was Emma's last paragraph. Dad, I don't know if you'll ever come back. And maybe I don't deserve that. But I just want to see you. Once. Just to talk. To sit with you and not feel like I'm drowning in all this. I miss your laugh. I miss your stories. I miss you. That one got me. The part where your own kid tells you they're drowning. I folded the letter and stared out at the ocean again. Waves always reminded me of time, how they keep coming no matter what happens. No matter who leaves. No matter who betrays you. I hadn't spoken to Jessica since the last hotel visit. No texts. No calls. She didn't try again. Maybe she figured it out. Maybe someone told her what I'd done with the money. Because I didn't just stash it in an account. I moved fast. Investments. Property. Ownership stakes in 3 new startups. A foundation set up under an alias, one that donates directly to fathers going through divorces and custody battles. It's quiet, under the radar, and helping the kind of man I used to be. The one who gets tossed aside the moment he stumbles. I hired lawyers. Real ones. Quiet ones. The kind who play chess while everyone else plays checkers. Every piece of what Jessica and I built together had either been sold or frozen. There were no loose ends now. And still, part of me wanted closure. So I flew back. Didn't tell anyone. Just showed up on our old street in a black SUV with tinted windows and watched the house from across the road. It looked smaller now. Weeds in the garden. Paint peeling around the windows. No laughter inside. No movement. Like it had aged 20 years and 3 months. I didn't get out. Didn't knock. Didn't even kill the engine. But Emma came out. She didn't see me at first. Just sat on the porch steps in a hoodie 3 sizes too big, knees pulled to her chest. She looked older, sadder. I watched her for a while, heart beating in this weird, slow rhythm like it wasn't sure what to feel. Then she looked up, right at the car, straight at me. I don't know how she knew. Maybe she just felt it. She stood up slowly, walked toward the car, hesitant, like I was a ghost she wasn't sure would stay if she moved too fast. I rolled down the window. Neither of us spoke. She just stared. And then, her voice barely a whisper, she said, "Dad?" I nodded. That was it. She opened the door and got in without another word. No dramatic hug. No sobbing. Just a silent agreement that maybe this wasn't the end. Maybe there was something still worth saving. We drove for 2 hours. Didn't talk much. Just existed. Together. The silence wasn't heavy. It was healing. When I finally pulled into a small beach motel up the coast, I handed her a keycard. "You can stay here for a few nights. Think. Breathe. Then we'll talk." She nodded. Tears in her eyes. Not loud ones. Just that soft kind of crying where the pain isn't screaming anymore. It's just tired. I watched her walk to the room and close the door behind her. For the first time in months, I didn't feel rage. Or betrayal. Or emptiness. Just something new. Hope. 3 days later, she knocked on my motel door. No hesitation this time. No fear in her eyes. Just readiness. She sat across from me at the small round table by the window, legs crossed, hands clasped tightly in her lap. I poured her a glass of orange juice. She laughed a little. "You still keep that in the fridge?" "Always," I said, "even when no one drinks it." She smiled, and it was the first real smile I'd seen from her in months. Maybe years. Not the Instagram perfect one. The real one, the one that used to beam when I picked her up from ballet practice or surprised her with ice cream after school. "I've been thinking," she said. I waited. "I don't hate her," she said slowly. "She's still my mom. But I don't trust her either. And I don't want to live there anymore. Not like that." It hit me harder than I expected. Not in a bad way, just the weight of it. The way she said it so calmly, like she'd made peace with the storm around her. "She's not evil," Emma added. "But she's broken. And I think, maybe she always was. She made choices," I said. "That's what matters." Emma nodded. "I want to stay with you. If that's okay." I didn't say yes immediately. I looked at her. I looked at her the way you look at someone you love, but someone who hurt you too. Someone who said you were useless. Someone who was part of the worst day of your life. But also someone who wrote you a letter. Who came clean. Who showed up. And sometimes, that's what redemption looks like. Not perfect. Not dramatic. Just honest. "Yeah," I said finally. "It's okay." She exhaled, shoulders dropping like she'd been holding her breath for weeks. That night, we walked along the beach. No phones. No noise. Just the ocean and the wind and the kind of silence that doesn't feel awkward anymore. Emma asked if I'd ever forgive her. I didn't give her a yes. Or a no. I told her, "You're my daughter. I'll always love you." Forgiveness. That comes when trust does. And trust takes time. She accepted that. No tears. Just a slow nod. We didn't go back to the old life. We didn't pretend the betrayal hadn't happened. We started something new. Smaller. Quieter. But real. Jessica tried again. One final letter. She said she was sorry. Said she wished things were different. Said she wanted to make things right. I didn't write back. Because some doors don't just close, they vanish. And chasing ghosts only invites them back in. I sold the last property we ever owned together and gave the earnings to a domestic abuse shelter. Set up a scholarship in my mother's name for single dads trying to rebuild their lives. I didn't need the money. I needed peace. And I had it now. I had morning walks with Emma. I had silence without shame. I had freedom without rage. I had nights where I could breathe. And I had one truth that kept me grounded through it all. Being betrayed doesn't make you weak. Staying broken does. And I refuse to stay broken. So if you ever find yourself staring at the ruins of your life, remember, ruins aren't the end. They're just what's left before you rebuild. And sometimes, the version you build next is the strongest one yet.